talk about the big one, and it's only it's 2.5 days away now. Is the final Goodison's last stand, the final Merseyside derby. Before we talk about the game, what your recollections being a local of Goodison Park, David, and obviously a grand old stadium, and the old lady will sing one last time for a derby, and it is now the last time. The two teams have both gone out the FA Cup. Everton disappeared early in the League Cup, so this is the last time that there will be a Merseyside derby at Goodison. That's now been confirmed after this weekend. So, what are your recollections of the stadium and going back through the archives, your memories of the place?
Yes, I've got really good memories of Everton. I've done a lot of reporting on them down the years. I've not just been a Liverpool reporter. I've done an awful lot of Everton. My first game I ever reported on was a cup game at Everton as well. So that's, getting on for nearly 14 years ago now, so a long time ago. So I absolutely love the place. Quite sympathetic towards Everton. My dad's an Evertonian, and my mum's a Red, so that's how I was quite fortunate with how I landed in terms of which team I ended up supporting, thankfully. But but I have a lot of affection for Everton because it's always a great place to go, and the staff there are so kind, and it's just run by great people. And they're just unfortunate they're on the wrong side of that Merseyside divide in terms of winning trophies, but they are great people and great fans, and it's always a really good atmosphere as well, and particularly for these derbies. So it's a magic place, and I genuinely will miss it when it's gone, and I think the Premier League will miss it because you're losing these great iconic stadiums, aren't you, one by one. I mean, I remember going to the Berlin ground the last season that was open, and that's now gone. Highbury's gone. All these iconic places, Filbert Street for Leicester, these are great grounds that we're not seeing anymore, and Goodison is one of the last of those. So it's I'll be really, really sad to see Everton move on, but I totally understand as well. It's the right decision for them to make, and the new stadium I'm sure will be fantastic.
And I'm sure being local again, you'll have driven down past that new stadium a few times. And I've only seen it once, and it was a few weeks ago, and it was quite impressive. I've not been in, but it looks like quite a special new place they found for themselves. And to be honest, I don't mind so much they're not going to be right on our doorstep anymore. I mean, I'm sure some of the local businesses won't enjoy that so much, but I always park over that way normally and walk through the park to Anfield. So I'm used to seeing Goodison quite a lot. I've not been to a match there. The last match I was there was in 1988, so I'm showing my age there, and it was when Liverpool went on that 29 game run to try and go ahead of Leeds United, and of course it was Wayne Clark, the son of a Leeds player in that run, Alan Clark, that got the goal that deprived Liverpool of that particular record. And I swore that day I would never go back, and I've had chances to go back to Goodison, and I was 12 years old at that point, and I've never made it to another game at Goodison in all that time, and had offers, but I'd never done so. And this game could have been played obviously a few weeks ago. The winds saw the back of it. It never happened because of the winds. But it's now given Everton the chance for an evening kickoff, which means the old lady will be rocking. Whereas it may not have been quite the case had it been a few weeks ago. But I still think Liverpool would be preferred to play a David Moyes team over a Sean Dyche team. And they prefer to play with a hostile crowd, which they'd expect anyway, rather than in blustery, windy, gale force conditions that probably equalise things a bit more for Everton than they do to benefit Liverpool.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think that, no matter what the result ends up being, I think this is a better timing that this has landed in for Liverpool than the original, because in those conditions, it would have just been absolute chaos. So, you saw some of the results over that weekend actually were a little bit wonky, and some big sides got shocked. So the conditions can really level things. So I think Liverpool will be glad it is when it is. And as you say, probably more glad to be facing a Moyes team than a Dyche one, because he seemed to kind of, he had a decent record, didn't he, against Liverpool, and making it really hard for them, whereas Moyes hasn't necessarily. And also, that new manager bounce that Everton have got kind of came to a little bit of an end in the Bournemouth game as well. So not too bad timing in terms of that. So, the atmosphere is going to be absolutely feral, as it always is in these derbies at Goodison. It's always so tricky because the fans are close to the pitch and they'll make it difficult. But I think for Liverpool, fully rested squad now coming into this, no excuse not to match Everton for physicality. And then if they do that, they should give themselves the basis to play the football, and Liverpool are without doubt the better team here. So, I think in terms of how it's fallen for them, the fact they've got all that rest, I don't think there's any excuses for Liverpool not to go there and put on a decent performance and hopefully get a win. And if they do that, 9 points clear, then it's it's a long way back for Arsenal.
I mean, we did see a horror show there towards the end of last season. It was probably Liverpool's worst performance of last season. But it did come with mitigation. It came in a point where Liverpool's season had collapsed, had fallen apart. And as much as Everton fans will say, oh, we deprived Liverpool of the title was long gone by that day. Only mathematically it is at stake there. But that was a disappointing performance, as I say, but this season should give Liverpool hope. What are you expecting in terms of the lineup and the score forecast then for this? Because I'm guessing we don't know quite about Trent yet, and Bradley was rested for that trip to Plymouth, so I'm expecting Bradley starts. But other than that, are we pretty much going to be expected? I guess number 9 as well is a question there, but I think the rest of the team picks itself.
Yeah, I'd agree. Really, I think he kind of telegraphed what the lineup was going to be outside of maybe that number 9 decision. That will be an interesting one because obviously Diaz gets the whole game there, and Núñez only comes on as a sub. So does that tell us anything in terms of he wants that number 9 presence and that physicality that Núñez brings? That'll be an interesting one. But yeah, I think with Conor Bradley is nailed on for right back now, isn't he? Because there was always that. I think with Trent, even though he may be back in the squad for this one, you just don't take the risks with the muscle injury, do you? And do you know what? I actually think that might fall in Liverpool's favour, that one as well, because it's going to be that type of game where I'm not against Conor Bradley being there. I don't think it's maybe a game you're going to completely dominating possession and all about showing you football. It's probably going to be a bit of a fight, and they've got Njai playing down that left-hand side. He's probably their biggest threat. I'm not too gutted about the fact it's going to be Conor Bradley up against him because he tends to lock down whoever he's up against. So that one may work in Liverpool's favour. And I just think, like I say, with the amount of rest this squad's had now, he can bounce into this. He can run all over Everton, and if you like I say, if you match them for the physicality, then the quality should be there to make the difference. And so every confidence really that Liverpool will put in a decent performance and win.
And what about the number 9, David? What do you think he'll do there? I noticed that Tony Horse said in the comments there that he'd go Jota as the 9 as he's more clinical than Darwin, but I actually think that Slot will stick the course and go with Diaz.
Yeah, I just wonder with Núñez being on the bench yesterday whether that sort of tells you anything in terms of what he's planning there. I mean, it shows that he's not nailed on in his head about what he wanted to do. The fact that both of those players went down there, I think that's interesting. Very much in some of the games where he's had rotation chances. For example, the PSV game where he uses both Robertson and Tsimikas because left back is kind of in his mind as much of a muchness. I think it was kind of a little bit like that. So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I think the Diaz number 9 thing, I think for teams that kind of try and play it out from the back is maybe it's more suited to that because it's trying to press and nick the ball off them. Whereas a team that's going to be direct like Everton definitely will. Maybe you need Núñez because of the fact he's a physical focal point up front, and maybe that will help Liverpool in a direct game. So I'm kind of leaning towards him going down with Núñez there, which and his recent performances, I think I'm not against at all. I think we have seen some improvement in his working build-up. His pressing's been really good as well, and he's not the guy who gets all the shots in this system either, which helps him because you don't see as much of his wayward finishing. So I'm probably leaning towards Núñez in that position, I think.
Yeah, I don't expect it, but I agree with you. I still expect we'll see Diaz because that just seems to be Slot's strongest lineup in his own mind. So that's what I expect to happen. But I agree with you. I would play Núñez as well. And perhaps there is a hint there. Let's wait and see. And can we tease a score prediction out of you for this one?
Yeah, like I say, I'm kind of confident going into this one, and I rarely am really about Liverpool going to Goodison Park. But I think that rest will really help them to match Everton. So. I think a solid 2-0 win is my expectation, which, by the way, would mean Liverpool have got a winning record at Goodison Park historically, which is absolutely incredible. So they're even going into this one for wins, and if Liverpool win it, obviously they will have won more derbies at Goodison Park than Everton. So it's
pin that on the dressing room.
A lot riding on this one.
Well, that's pretty much us, guys. We've covered obviously all the subjects there. We've kept David busy with, thanks to Dave Davis, who came up with this agenda. He's on holiday, but he still sent us this bright and early this morning. So that's the first thing I saw in my mailbox at about 6:30 a.m. So Dave wasn't going to let the children run away with it. He made sure that the grown-ups in the room gave us something to speak about. So thanks to Dave for that. I do hope you're having a great holiday. Now, Dave won't be back on Thursday. It'll be me again. It'll be me, myself, and David to discuss the Merseyside derby. We'll hope that David's prediction comes off, because that would be a lovely position. And in the title race, David, you said a long time back, actually, that you saw Liverpool's leaders almost being unassailable already based on what Arsenal needed to do to topple Liverpool. And it's not the be-all and end-all. I heard Grizz Khan say on one of the shows with Gags last week that in this next 5 and 15 days, this Premier League, Liverpool can't really lose the league in these games, but they could win it. Would you agree with Grizz on that?
Yeah, totally agree with that. That's it. If they come out with a kind of a decent points to haul out of this, and it doesn't have to be 5 wins by any means, because Arsenal are just nowhere near, and they will drop points themselves. But I think if they come out with a decent points tally out of it, I mean, if four wins out of 5 would absolutely nail down the fact that the league is done, because you struggle to see from that point onwards, because it's so many tricky fixtures in there as well. You're struggling to find where Liverpool would drop that amount of points, and the fact is you'd be 5 further games towards the finishing line as well. It's just there's just not
they're running out of road.
Yeah, exactly that. So I think as you say, they could just nail it down. Which again, if they do that, what chance that gives them in the Champions League as well, in terms of, because if they already feel that the Premier League is stitched up, you can really point everything towards that. So yeah, it's an exciting run to be at the start of, but obviously the priority is, and this is what the manager will be saying, is win the next game. And if Liverpool do that, they're 9 points clear coming into this big run. It's really exciting times.
And dare I say now, viewers, Reds all around the world, if that happens, what David has just described there, Liverpool nail down this league in the next 5 games. They strengthen their hand going into the Champions League. They strengthen their position going into this cup final against Newcastle. Is anyone really going to be thinking about Plymouth yesterday? So it's one of those. We take it as Reds. We're even going out the FA Cup doesn't make it any less truth, and there's never been a better time to be a Red, and that is the case. We're on the crest of a wave here, and we're all enjoying it, and we enjoy putting out this content. We're really doing. You could keep in touch with Anfield Index in many ways. Obviously, we've got YouTube, which is growing all the time. We're on all the social medias. You've got 600 or so articles a month free on AnfieldIndex.com, and there's almost 100 podcasts a month on audio as well over at AnfieldIndex.com. So please do keep it tuned to what we're doing. We're going to keep bringing you the content. We're excited to do so in these runs. It's far better talking about it when so much is on the line, rather than the seasons where things just peter away about now, and going out the FA Cup doesn't really change that. So all that remains for me to do is to thank the wonderful David Lynch for his contributions today, and David will be back, as I said, with me on Thursday. Thank you, David.
No, thanks for having me, and I hope I'm not blaming you for another defeat after Wednesday night.
Don't even joke about that, because my wife's already thrown that at me this week. It's like Dave Davis isn't going to be able to take time off ever again if that happens. That's it. All holiday requests rejected. So until next time, up the Reds.